recording. So now, yes, we're off now. So
Brilliant.
Melanie Morris, the fabulous Melanie Morris. Hi, it's a pleasure to talk to you, Melanie. I mean, I'm dying to hear everything about your new company. But I'll do just a tiny bit of a bio because sometimes people don't like talking about themselves. So, editor-in-chief of Image Magazine, is that's the right title for how many years?
For about 5 years, and editor before that for 8 years.
Okay, so and very much involved in that whole glam side of the world. And then you were also running all those events in the Marker Hotel, mainly for all the early morning networking meetings for like a full range of women, all the working girls as such that were going to work in the morning early. And then you opened your own company called Genius Ideas, which is, exactly you, I have to say. So I'll shut up now because there's no point in listening to my voice. I'm dying to hear about, first of all, how were you brave enough to walk away from the fabulous fancy job of editor-in-chief? And then how did you come up with Genius Ideas and what has it brought to your table, for starters?
Sure. Well, I suppose my background, very, very briefly, went to a convent boarding school. When I was 13, I heard about this career called public relations. And from what I could gather back in those days, that was organizing parties for a living. And I thought, oh my God, you're paid to do this. I couldn't believe it. And I heard about this woman in the UK called Lynn Franks, who is the woman that became Adina Monsoon in Absolutely Fabulous. Okay. And age 13, I decided I wanted to work in public relations for Lynn Franks. So it's the only career plan I have ever had in my life. And I don't know how I managed to do it, but I did a BCom in UCD and got over on a plane to London and grafted my way in, got an interview, got a job as a very, very, very minor exec in the business and worked my way up there for 5 years. And I absolutely loved it. It was as crazy as the TV show would lead you to believe, probably not necessarily in those regards, but very much in that world.
Yes.
I absolutely adored popular culture. I loved youth culture. I loved fashion. I loved beauty. I loved magazines. I loved telly. And I didn't realize that I thought I was just one of these sort of like kind of mad fashion fans. But actually, as I got older, I've begun to realize I love observing. I love watching people. I love seeing people succeed. I love putting parts of a jigsaw together. I love seeing things thrive and flourish from an early stage. And to cut a very long career short, I worked for another PR company in the UK after that, came back to Ireland in the early 90s, dabbled in film production, dabbled in TV production, got into magazine publishing, published my own mag for about 10 years, and then started writing for the Irish Times for the magazine on beauty and on various kind of lifestyle-y type things. That part of my career grew. I started writing beauty for the Tribune and for the Examiner, and I didn't realize that I just always had a passion for beauty. And one day, out of the blue, I got a phone call from Kevin Kelly, who is the then publisher and owner of Image, and he wanted to meet me quickly for a cup of coffee in the morning. And I had no idea what it was about. And I'd written freelance for Image for Jane and Sarah McDonnell, who were the previous editors. And I had such high regard for the magazine. And I went for coffee with Kevin and his son, Mark. And out of the blue, he said to me, how would you like to become the next editor of Image? And the cup of coffee he gave me was in my mouth. I nearly spat it out in the Berkeley Court Hotel. It didn't take much convincing me. And what I didn't realize is that Sarah and Jane had gone off to start up the Gloss magazine, which is such a huge success.
Yeah.
And Kevin was left with a few empty seats. And through Rose, his wife, reading me in the Irish Times over the past couple of years, that's how I landed the job. And I love working with Image, and I loved working with Image then, and I love working with Image now. And basically in those days, obviously it's the same thing, whether you're working in PR or event management or marketing or comms or magazine editing, it's the same thing. You're building, you're finding, you're promoting, you're developing, you're growing. And so I edited Image for about 7 or 8 years. And then obviously the world was changing. Yes. The recession had come along, the new world as we now know it, or knew it up until a few months ago, was beginning to develop. The online world was beginning to develop. And when I'd started with Image, myself and my friend Caroline Kennedy had come up with the idea of a Businesswoman of the Year awards, which I know you're a recipient of one of those awards.
Yeah.
And I'd started to see that through the recession, a really interesting thing had happened in a woman's career life. Probably when I started in Image in 2005, a lot of women were still stay-at-home moms or working on extended maternity leave because their husbands had quite lucrative jobs. Now, not everyone, but a lot of women had that option. A lot of women were working for other businesses. But the whole thing of the female entrepreneur, I think a lot of it came out of redundancies in the recessionary times, whether it was women being made redundant or their husbands being made redundant or businesses collapsing or just that need to find something new. And maybe we're at the start of this again in a different guise.
We are. Yeah, I'd imagine we are.
Yeah, and it was one of those sliding doors moments, and it was one that benefited women. And suddenly there was this opportunity, whether it was in print or in digital or through the events that luckily through my Lynn Franks experience, I was able to pull on my PR experience of event management and start looking at if Image was a real life thing, what would it look like?
Yes.
And it was a way of maybe chatting to our community in the real world, in getting people like you, Debbie, and like so many really interesting Irish women who have weathered a storm or started a business or seen a gap in the market or seen a need for a little bit of innovation or a bit of care or a bit of love or a bit of ingenuity to stand up and tell us what they did and how they did it. So whether it was an event or an awards system, or we did the same within the beauty industry, because I noticed while there were so many awards for products, there was nothing rewarding, the women and the guys and the girls and the creatives in the industry. And that was brought to me through Ellen Kavanagh from Waxperts, who was saying, you don't recognize the people behind the industry. So it was great having the platform in Image to do all of that. So as editor-in-chief, I kind of left the day-to-day editing of the magazine and I got more involved in bringing Image to life through different ways. And luckily, I'm still involved in some of these to this.
Lucky for Image, actually.
Thank you.
No, seriously, your events, I mean, your events are fantastic. I mean, they're always a sellout. And you have people on the stage there, like, the Joe Malones and these huge people that we all, know their names and we all love them. And they're on they're not used, the way you speak to them, you have such a lovely, it's like you know them so well. There's a lovely rapport. There's no sense that, it's they're bigger than all of us or anything. You actually have that lovely warmth about you that makes them feel very at home, and the whole thing feels extremely comfortable and organic. I think you're really, really brilliant at it. But then tell me about the new companies. So
what happened? Yeah, what happened next? I think obviously we all evolve and we all change in the world. And while I loved the work that I was doing with Image, I suddenly realized, God, I seem to be doing more and more and more of the stuff that I was doing at the early start of my career. And maybe I was getting more and more interested in the brand side of things, and in working with creative people or businesses that want to put a voice and a form around their business. And I just decided one day, also, I'm probably at an age where, and I must say at this time in the world, at this crazy coronavirus time, I'm calling it my maternity leave because I never had maternity leave. And I've been working solidly since, I think, 1986. So I had a chance about 3 years ago to step back and take a look at my career and the hours I was working and the ground I was covering. And I decided, it would probably be nice to call my own shots for a while and to continue the developing, growing, building and working with people that want to do that, but maybe doing it as myself as opposed to through the confines of a media.
And are you, like, looking back now, I mean, obviously, at the moment it's probably difficult, but are you thrilled you took that step, Melanie?
I am, because, I love the way that the dice have rolled. I have all the time in the world now to work with my clients, and very luckily for me, I have a great relationship with Image. So I'm still involved in the big awards, and I'm still involved in the events. Now they have an amazing events team led by Ciara Cosgrove who look after all of that. But I'm still involved maybe with coming up with ideas for speakers and
So
fronting
one benefits the other, really. I mean, it's a win-win, really.
It works. And I think, you know, as I said, the only thing I've ever really planned in my career was to go and work for Lynn Franks at the beginning. And thankfully, everything else is sort of slotted into place. I'm not a great strategist, and I'm not a chess player. I'm somebody who works very much by gut instinct, and I'm somebody who likes to work that way, because I think it's that great thing that if something is very easy and very straightforward, it's meant to be. If you find yourself pushing a boulder up a hill, is it actually, listen, you've pushed many a boulder up a hill, but you always probably had an end goal in mind.
I have to have a goal in mind, yeah, but the charity is definitely a boulder up the hill, particularly with ours. Like, we're not even children aren't in Ireland, etc. But for me, it makes no difference. I was just listening to Krista Berg a few minutes ago there on Joe Duffy, and he was saying that, you know, children in Lahore and children in Africa are children that are in need, no matter where they are in the world, are all of our responsibilities, you know. So, but it is difficult at a time when, particularly now, because Ireland is in chaos, obviously, and there is a lot of carnage ahead for a lot of people. And I do think, Melanie, you're dead right when you say about in the recession, women came through as entrepreneurs because they had to. Like, people keep saying now they're going to have to reinvent themselves. People that were doing one thing can't do it anymore. Like restaurant owners, hairdressers, everybody is going to have to find a new way of business, you know?
But this is amazing to see. Now, I know we're only 6 very long weeks into this,
yes,
but in that short amount of time, the ingenuity, and this is what I love being on the vanguard of with other brands, the ingenuity of people. Somebody cuts a hole in the front of their shop so they can sell coffee out of it. Somebody else creates a website so they can amplify the delivery of that coffee. Somebody else has another idea. You know, somebody has an idea that, you know what, you're going to have to do some of these beauty treatments on your own. I'm going to do videos and I'm going to talk you through step by step, and you can buy my product. Whatever it might be, it's really fascinating to see how human
change. Yes, but if you don't do that, you won't survive. So it is only the people that are able to metamorphosize, really, isn't it, that are going to survive. You know, like 3 months ago, I was kind of saying, oh no, I don't use Zoom. I can't use Zoom. No, I couldn't be bothered using Zoom. Now, like, I know every button on Zoom, only because I was forced into doing it, and I had to train myself to do it. I mean, it's not hard, but I'm just saying these things, you know, I was kind of leaving it to somebody else to do. Like, you have to learn a new way, or else you really do die off very quickly, you know.
You have to adapt.
Melanie, what do you think? What do you see now? Like, I mean, do you think we're going to have to change dramatically, all of us, in the way we live our lives?
I think it's hard for people to do a complete 360, but I think we can attune and we can adapt. I think we are hugely resilient, and I think women are especially resilient and pragmatic. I mean, how many times have we all come home to a shit show, and the only thing to do is to go, right, stop everyone, and you're the queen of this, Debbie. Person A, go off and do that. Person B, get out of my way. Person C, clear that. Right. Would you all go off and do that? Give me 10 minutes thinking time, and I'm going to think away around this. Now, that makes it sound very, very simple. And I am no fool, and I know it's not going to be that simple. But I know that we are resilient. I know that we're smart thinkers. And I know personally, I'm not one of these amazing, strong entrepreneurs, but what I am is a really good wing woman, and I can come up with ideas. And that's maybe where I feel my business fits into the new world. I will never be the person up there holding the award, and I don't want to be, but I love being the person who sits with that person going, good Jesus, how are we going to get around this?
Yes. Yeah, no, you are absolutely I agree. You're perfect for that. And the fact that you call your company Genius Ideas, because what you're doing is you're actually nearly giving other people ideas to give them the opportunities. That's what you're really good at doing, you know.
It's definitely teamwork.
Yeah.
And I always think, you know, it's that great thing, there's no such thing as a bad idea. And you can sit around a table and you can literally bounce things off. And eventually, it's like a bit of plasticine. You come along with your pink bit of plasticine and somebody goes, no, 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 it's not right. And they stick a bit of blue on it. And then maybe you might stick a bit of green. And then you might get rid of the pink completely. And slowly but surely, something evolves into something unique and very, very individual to the brand or the person that you're talking to. And I absolutely love that process, because once you come up with your solidified idea, then you're proud of it. And then you're very happy to bring it to the top of the table and sing about it. And whether it's necessarily through PR or through marketing or through digital or through whatever, you have the courage of your convictions to follow something through with a huge amount of belief. And also, it's very easy to find the channel and the way you should be speaking about something. So what suits one business absolutely is completely different to what suits another. You know, one person, it might be a very, very small number of people you'll be talking to about a very precise type of activity. And an example of that would have been, I had the joy of working with a woman called Nicola Connolly, who has a gorgeous, organic, vegan, beautiful South American beauty brand called Nunaya that she makes here in Ireland, but she uses beautiful natural ingredients from South America. And the joy I had of working with her is she already had her beautiful brand, but we needed to work out where it was going to be positioned in the marketplace, who was going to stock it, how we would come up with absolutely beautiful, creative, one-off things that we could do with an individual retailer in order to make an experience and the retail point very, very personal and very specific. And then literally see the thing grow and grow and grow from there. So that's the kind of thing I love doing.
Yes, and I mean, there's going to be so much of that ahead, because surely now, I mean, people are going to be fighting to get back into business. So they're going to be fighting for unique ideas, really, Melanie, from the likes of you, who have that brain, that creative brain, so that they can find a new place in the marketplace.
But you know what I'm hoping to see from this, you know, Debbie, and, you know, my business aside or anything else, is I think this time is separating the men from the boys, or the women from the girls.
Yeah.
And I think what I love seeing coming through from this time, it is the businesses and the people who are working with empathy, who are reading the room and looking at the situation and maybe giving a little bit more than they would normally give, and putting the bottom line not necessarily front and center. It's important, but it's also important to nurture your community and to do your bit. And I think the people that do their bit will be rewarded in the longer term.
Well, let's hope so. I started this thing that you're on at the moment. I did it on this day one of lockdown, because I was having a bit of a rant in the kitchen about Boris Johnson, because my son lives in London. So I was like having a rant about the fact that Boris, I felt, was being negligent about corona. And then it grew legs and more people were watching it. And then this week we had 35 million people.
Yes, tell us about that.
Yeah. So one of the biggest TV shows in Russia beamed into the kitchen on Wednesday. And the chat show host has 35 million people, I think, about 3 times a week. So I had my pink kitchen behind me for it, so which I painted pink a year ago for my daughter's wedding. It's a 30-year-old Strawbridge kitchen, which we were going to dump, but I actually love it, so we painted it pink. But it's funny, it's one of those things that just grew legs over the last kind of 5 or 6 weeks, because I started off kind of fishing out people that were, to me, fascinating, positive. I didn't want whiners and whingers, because there's just too much of it. It's all quite overwhelming at the moment, the sadness and the stories and all that. And I wanted people that I felt could inject everybody with energy. And so I started off, and because of the world that I'm in and you're in, I've met so many amazing people. I mean, I had done a talk in a library in Lucan. I was a talking book recently. I was rented out during the day with an ex-con who is now a professional athlete, Ger Redmond. And he's got the most unbelievable backstory, and he was one of my first guests on, and he was just talking about the challenges he's been through in his life. He's been in prison, he was abused for years, physically abused by his father. He raised his 5 siblings, and you kind of think, okay, when you hear stories like that, you think, well, look, we can cope, actually, lads. You know what I mean? Like we will be able to. People have gone through so much horror in their lives. People with cancer, so like we're all able to. We just need to get together, I think. And I think we need to try our best to be positive and not let the naysayers in and not let the negativity in, because there's so much coming at us. with Donald Trump, with all the negativity, with all the negative media stuff, even the radios, the sad stories. I mean, your heart would break sometimes listening to people on the radio.
Do you know what? I actually can't listen to it anymore, because what I've begun, and it's the same with the people that aren't social distancing and the this and the that, and the awful stories that if you let your head go to it, you can only do so much. So immerse, my thing is immerse yourself in the thing that you can do something with. So if you're hearing a very distressing story, if you can donate to something, donate to it. But don't let it bring you down. Be aware of it. And the same with, don't listen to the news too much. We all know this now. Once or twice a day, stay away from the Daily Mail, because it is absolutely poison. It's those kind of things. But I think it's up to each of us. Easier said than done. We have to stay as positive as we can.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Everything else can be overcome if we can keep the head strong.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So I think it's up to us all to try and put our shoulders together now, because I do think our world needs powerful, strong women as well. I mean, when you look at Jacinda Ardern, who of course is one of my heroes, and of course now they're COVID free down there, and so when you look at people like her, she's straight talking, she has, there's no nonsense, there's a lack of ego about her. I think that's so refreshing. So I think we really do need to, and I mean, you are in the center of it, you run those networking mornings, and they are amazing, because I think women leave that room feeling, oh my God, I can actually do something to make the world a better place, or to make their world a better place. So fair play to you for that.
Well, what I must say, why I think they work, and I think it's tribute to Irish women, is I have never seen in any of the image events a woman stand up and basically, now not in so many words, but say as much as, I'm great, and here's how I'm great. Equally, they aren't so self-dismissive that it's insincere, but what they will do is they will point out parts of their careers where they have struggled, or issues maybe that they've had to tackle, or things that haven't necessarily gone so well for them that they've had to try and turn around. And I think that generosity of spirit in sharing real learning, as opposed to a whack of Maya Angelou quotes, it's a very different thing. I think Samantha Power is great at that. Samantha Power, will share really good nuggets that we can pick on with. And I think it's those nuggets that do inspire you, because you realize that nobody has it straight or easy.
I agree. And I think it's fabulous to listen to women. Even you see women and you think they're fabulously successful, and you think, God, she's running 7 coffee shops or 7 whatever it is, and then when they stand up and talk, and actually you listen to her saying, well, actually I didn't get my bank loan, I was crying for a week, then I applied again, I didn't give in. And I think when people see the huge amount of work and effort that goes in to being that glossy, successful person, you think is fabulously, it's easy for them. Like, it's definitely not easy. I mean, it's okay. One thing is passion, but hard work has to come with the passion to make your business a success. And it's probably why you are the person that you are, because you've got both of those things.
Well, I think the sad reality of life, and one day we all get to have this shocking realization that just because you feel like doing something on a Tuesday morning, you've actually got to keep doing it. And it's like you with these chats, Debbie, if you decided to do 3 of them, you wouldn't be hitting 35 million viewers. You literally have to keep coming back and doing and doing and doing and doing until it becomes a habit. And then you throw in another thing and another thing. And again, it sounds easy. It's not. But if you're working on something that you enjoy, it doesn't hurt so much.
Yeah, well, it gets me out of bed in the mornings at the moment, because we depend on our shops, obviously, as you well know, because we've all magnificent donations from you. And so our shops, really, we're dying to get them back open and get everything. So
that's my question, because I'm busy collecting stuff for you at the moment. Any thoughts?
Oh, we'll take everything. Once we reopen, we'll take everything, or anything. We'll take absolutely everything, because we haven't had donations now in 6 weeks. We stopped them all. And we'll open hopefully with a bang. And we have beautiful donations anyway. We're lucky we do get the higher end of stuff. And we still sell it very cheap, Melanie, as you well know. But so no,
I got a great pair of Charlotte Olympia shoes last year that I'd say retail would cost about €650. They'd never been worn, and I got them for 90.
Yeah. We do have fabulous stuff, all right. So no, we're dying to get the shops back open because we've got children dependent on us. You know yourself, you know. But
And
anyway,
how
listen to me,
are our kids?
I can't keep these. The kids are brilliant. Well, we're on to them every day. The Dublin children are struggling, I'd say, because they're not in school, and that's a huge problem. We bought a laptop for one of them last week because he just couldn't manage without it, because and then of course with the leaving cert being shifted, they're all over the place. And if you don't have a laptop or a computer, it's very hard to do online learning on your phone if it's an old wonky phone, or if it's a broken phone. It's really impossible for them. I don't know what's going to happen. And then our children in Russia, it's difficult. Our younger ones are incarcerated in an orphanage, totally quarantined. And our bigger ones, we're just monitoring them every day because we're trying to keep them to the social distancing and all that, because they've no mummies and daddies to tell them that, you know.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so I can't, we could talk all day, but these things don't post unless if they're very long. But listen, it's just that you're just such a fabulous warrior woman, and such a fantastic ambassador for Irish women. You're such a brilliant businesswoman, and I just love going to your events. They're so inspiring. They make me think I'm not doing enough. I should be doing more. I want to make more change in the world. You're fabulous at inspiring that.
Oh, not at all, Debbie. Of all people, you are the one that if you're not busy making Easter garlands at 3 a.m. in the morning, you're
on board with it.
Well, listen, let's hope that we will get to work on something fun together soon.
Yeah.
That we make lots of money for With
All
Love.
of us women need to get together anyway and make big changes in this world, that's for sure. So listen, it's fantastic to see you on fire as ever, and the best of luck with the new company, Melanie.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Bye.